In the world of the Quiet Place, what makes it so mysterious is the creatures, the Death Angels. Now these creatures are mysterious because we never really know where they came from. They came from meteorites that came from some unknown planet, I assume, or just space in general. Then they landed on Earth and just started smacking everybody. These creatures are mainly known for being blind, but they have super hypersensitive hearing. Like they can hear a drop of a pencil from a mile away, bro. Shit is actually insane. But to bring the world of A Quiet Place into the realm of Dead by Daylight, it brings me one question. How exactly can the Death Angel work in Dead by Daylight? I'm talking about an immersive and unique gameplay style adaptation where you literally feel kinda like the Death Angel. I've talked about the Death Angel in the past, but I found that kinda lazy, the way I described their power and how they could work. So this time I'll bring it more so towards the nitty gritty and show you exactly what I mean of how the Death Angel could work in Dead by Daylight. Cause I'll always watch the movies and I'll just be like, man, how would these creatures exactly work in the game? I'm just so curious because I think it would be a good chapter, but I just never knew how they would be displayed exactly in the game. So here's my thoughts on how I think that can exactly be like. Now with the Death Angels, I want to make them an immediate threat. I want to make them a force to be reckoned with, but of course with a challenge. Wesker is the only killer with a tear radius of 40 meters, but if the Death Angels were to join Dead by Daylight, I can honestly see them having a similar tear radius, if not the same. So I'll give them 40 meter tear radius. Height, of course, will be tall. In their speed, they're really quick, so they will of course just be basic movement speed. Now for a perfect adaptation, I could see the gameplay centering around mainly tracking, speed, range, and destruction. We have to note that these creatures are blind, but in the realm of Dead by Daylight, of course, we're gonna have to cheat a little bit. Because of course you can't just play the game blind. You have to know where you're going, right? But with a twist, the reason why I would consider this killer very hard, the Death Angel would technically be a forever spirit in a way. What I mean by this is that the Death Angel literally cannot see survivors at all. No matter how close, how far, how anything. The Death Angel cannot see survivors. Controversial, I know. Oh my god. But the Death Angel will have a built-in Strider and a built-in Deer Stalker. I'll get into that in a minute. But to get a pre-understanding before I get into the power, I can see the Death Angel playing pretty close to these selected killers, and I'll explain why as I go through the power. Spirit, Demogorgon, Singularity, Blight, and Hag. That will technically be the amalgamation of killer aspects into the Death Angel. And for anyone saying the Death Angel is just Demo 2.0 and not to put them in the game, they literally have zero things in common besides the fact that they're both sci-fi creatures. They don't even look the same. Demogorgon has a plant blossom Mario plant head, and Death Angel just has some head that just kind of floats in the air a little bit and kind of breathes in a way, in some weird way, with teeth. But with Demogorgon, its head is technically his teeth. It's like teeth all around the face. They don't look similar at all. I don't know where the hell they... So, the power, Ultra Hearing. When it comes to Ultra Hearing, the Death Angel can hear any sound from a much longer radius anywhere on the map from where it's currently standing for 10 seconds, but for a cooldown of 10 seconds. While in this phase, the current volume decreases in order for the Death Angel to hear whatever it needs to hear in the distance. When Death Angel uses Ultra Hearing, Death Angel must hold the ability button and manually scan the environment whenever it chooses to listen from a distance. This process will work extremely similar to Cook's ability from the TCM game, except Death Angel can hear the sound perfectly in the distance from where it's exactly scanning from. Like, it can literally hear any possible movement the survivors may make against the environment, objects, or other survivors, such as survivors moving on grass, sprinting, vaulting, even slow vaulting, dropping from a tall height, or any possible interactions. Mostly everything except gen progression, because I feel that would technically be cheating. I can only imagine a 3-gen scenario where the Death Angel is technically waiting to listen for gen progression, and then as soon as they hear gen progression, they just run over to the gen. So you know, moments like that could be annoying, but this killer would just have that annoying playstyle in general. I mean, it already can't see survivors at all, so you might as well give it that hyper sensitive hearing, just like in the movie. Now, while using Ultra Hearing, the Death Angel can mark certain areas of the map, such as windows, pallets, chests, exegates, and totem locations, or survivors themselves. Windows, pallets, chests, exegates, and totems are marked in blue aura for 5 seconds. Survivors' auras are marked in red aura for 7 seconds. The Death Angel must navigate and hold Ultra Hearing in the location it hears activity long enough, I would say about 3 seconds, in order to lock on the mark of death. So you see how when cooking TCM, he has to kind of hold the ability before he's able to really mark them? Something like that. Just like that, actually. The longer the Death Angel hears that sound, it could definitely mark the sound. Or that survivor, I should say. Windows, pallets, chests, exegates, and totems can be insta-marked. I will explain why these could be insta-marked in a second, and it will all make sense down the line. But the survivor is responsible for a certain sound that they make. That survivor is at risk of being marked. Survivors will be given a faint sound warning for 1.5 seconds when the Death Angel is scanning in their direction with Ultra Hearing, notifying survivors that the Death Angel is listening. So this would technically be a quick counter against the Death Angel. So whenever you're doing something that the Death Angel could possibly hear, really the only thing you should do is stay still and walk, stay still and crouch, or just stay still in general, waiting for that warning to pass by, and then you continue your goal. When specifically facing the Death Angel, survivors are given an ability to endure pain. The purpose of this ability is to keep quiet while injured or deep wounded for a certain amount of time. Basically a free Iron Will ability. This ability becomes active to use only when a survivor has become injured, otherwise it's unavailable. When a survivor activates Endure Pain, the ability lasts for 30 seconds. After usage, the ability is then on a cooldown for 30 seconds. The ability timer comes to a pause only when healing a fellow survivor, healing yourself, or working on a generator. After the interactions are finished, the timer for the ability then resumes again. Anytime anything is marked by the Death Angel has a 5-second activation time limit to activate Rapid Dash. Similar to how when a Phantasm trap is activated, Hag can teleport to the trap. In this case, the Death Angel would sprint at a very high speed, close if not very similar to Blight's rush speed, without having limited turning angles, meaning Death Angel can just sprint freely. This is why when it can mark certain things like windows or pallets, it's easier transportation for the Death Angel could get from point A to point B, without having to mark a survivor. During the Rapid Dash phase, anything the Death Angel runs into, such as a drop pallet or breakable wall, would instantly break, with only a 2.5 second hinder delay for the Death Angel, similar to Singularity's overclock mode. If the Death Angel does run into a drop pallet, even if a pallet is dropped on it during Rapid Dash or breakable wall, Rapid Dash would immediately end. While the Death Angel runs into a window while Rapid Dash is active, the Death Angel would immediately pounce over the window, ending Rapid Dash in the process. If the Death Angel receives any sound notification, except unhooking, from outside a 16-meter radius, Rapid Dash can be immediately activated without having to use Mark of Death. Rapid Dash has a duration of 10 seconds when activated. When Rapid Dash ends, the Death Angel suffers a short cooldown of 2 seconds. The Death Angel can charge and activate Rapid Lunge anytime it wants to. Funny enough, the similarities, though they barely have any similarities in my opinion, they literally don't have any the Lunge will be an extremely similar Lunge to Demo with a bit of a twist. Since the Death Angel is completely blind to survivors, meaning the Death Angel can't see survivors at all, anytime the Death Angel charges the Lunge from within a 12-meter radius, Killer Instinct would be revealed to the Death Angel for survivors within that radius. So instead of just revealing the aura, which I feel would be kinda lame, it would have echolocation within that state of charging the Lunge. So it will still have to technically predict where that survivor is at. Would be kinda hard considering you have to predict where the survivor is gonna turn, without actually seeing them anyway. Rapid Lunge can also break pallets and breakable walls on impact, with a short 2-second cooldown for the Death Angel. All survivors can each collect a portable radio shown in white aura on the map. There will only be exactly 4 radios for each survivor to collect. These radios let out a high sound frequency of 12 meters that will stun the Death Angel in place for 5 seconds. However, each time a radio is used from a survivor, that radio must be charged at a charging dock for 60 seconds before it can be used again. A charging dock will be highlighted in yellow aura once the radio is fully charged again. The usage of each radio is only powered 3 times its usage. meaning a survivor can only use their radio 3 times during the trial. So basically the goal for this was to make the Death Angel as gimmicky and as faithful as possible to the A Quiet Place franchise. But considering the killers that are very wanted in Dead by Daylight, especially in high demand like Jason, Pennywise, you name it, a killer like the Death Angel would definitely bring that sort of different feel to Dead by Daylight, because I'm so curious how they would play, if the devs even are considering them in the first place. Having this unique playstyle where you literally can't see the survivor at all times, I think it will be fun if performed the right way. And this is honestly the best way I could possibly see it, because it's like, sure, the Death Angel can't see the survivors, but it has so many aspects of the power that kind of brings that weight down a little bit. But it still makes the Death Angel a hard killer to master, and a hard killer in general, considering one of your senses is really off the whole game. You almost have to just rely on one sense, which is hearing, just like the Death Angel. At least to get downs anyway, considering they can still see the environment around them. They just can't see survivors. Now, the reason why I think it's a good idea to bring a built-in Strider and a built-in Deerstalker into the Death Angel, if the Death Angel did work in a similar manner, is because you had to at least make chasing the survivors a bit easier for the Death Angel. So I could definitely see the Death Angel having that aspect of heightened hearing, even though it's not in power mode. As for Deerstalker, well, you have to down the survivor and know where the survivor is at, right? Instead of just always assuming where you downed the survivor. So I think a built-in Deerstalker would help with that, but not where you could just see the survivor at all times though. Might be something where it's just like the perk, where when you enter a certain radius, then you see the survivor on the ground. Cause that way you should be aware of where you downed them in that area, and then it will just highlight where they're downed at. Cause to actually try to find the survivor that's downed and you can't even see them anyways, that's gonna be hard as hell. That's a game in itself. Especially if they have like plot twists, no mither, anything where they don't make any sound while they're on the ground. It's like you're not gonna find them. So the Death Angel has to have something to help them out. Other than that though, this is the best way I can possibly see the Death Angel working in the game. I feel like a handful of ways won't really be a great adaptation for the character, because I can see the devs being as faithful as possible and really making it feel like you're playing that killer, you know? Even for certain killers where they technically have to make up a power, it's still faithful to that character because it's fitting for that character. For the Death Angels, since they're technically blind and solely rely on hearing, this is the best way I could see them. Definitely can't see them being easy to play, definitely see them being hard to master. The portable radio was an idea I came up with last second. I kept thinking that the Death Angel could technically somewhat spam its ability to hear, which is the Ultra Hearing, and get a free lock on onto a survivor, revealing their aura for a short duration and possibly downing them if they're good enough. Though that would be a challenge in itself anyways, since the Death Angels can't see the survivors at all without the ability. I think a nice counter was a good touch of the killer overall, because at least it adds some unique interaction for the survivors instead of having to be so quiet all the time. Not that the killer would find you if you aren't quiet, it's just a high chance the killer will find you if you aren't quiet. But stunning the creatures with that high frequency sound will be pretty cool to see, especially seeing it from a game and not the movie. But anyways, how do you guys feel about my controversial idea of the Death Angels, or how the Death Angels can exactly work in Dead by Daylight? Do you have any better ideas? How do you think the Death Angel will work in the game? What are some add-on choices that would be pretty broken for this power specifically? Let me know down below. Love y'all, take care, I'ma see y'all in the next one, and peace.